Welcome. In front of me I have the brand new Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra, their brand new entry of monitors, tablets. Technically not new, but anyway. Let's get straight into it and see what we get with this gargantuan 14-inch tablet. There we go. Now, I can probably guess that apart from basically a TV-sized tablet, we don't have a charger for it. There we go. Now, for some reason, looking at this packaging reminded me of the MacBook Air presentation back in the day where it was first announced, where they pull it out of an kind of like an envelope. For some reason, this kind of reminds me of it, and obviously, at this point, this is obviously more powerful than that MacBook Air. Oh, for goodness sake, who designed this? There we go. Not the best design. So here it is. Interestingly enough, Samsung decided to make a little bit of a concave shape right here for the pen. Man, that is big. That's what she said. There we go. We got our pen, and we get our cable in here. Yep. So you can see there is our cable, Type-C to Type-C, to make your life a little bit more annoying and unpleasant, because for the most part, majority of us have a Type-A charging brick, not a Type-C. So, props Samsung for making everyone's life just a little bit worse than it should have been. And here we get our paperwork. Interestingly enough, we have also SIM eject tool. So just get into the device. Oh, there we go, found the button. Damn, that is enormous. Now, I want to bring out other device just for the size comparison. This will be the Fold 4. And this is the absolute insanity of this device. This is an unfolded device, Fold 4, which already had a pretty big display. This is bigger, I think, than obviously than most of the smaller MacBooks, the 13-inch. So keep that in mind. This is bigger than a MacBook display for the most part, apart from the 15-inch ones. Those will be a little bit bigger, but not by much. Now, in this literal canvas of a display, we do basically have a dynamic AMOLED display with 120 Hz refresh rate and HDR10 Plus certification. I'm gonna go through the setup really quickly. Let's find whatever it doesn't matter. All right, it's Samsung. We need to restart the device after selecting a region. For God's sake, Samsung, come on. I genuinely have no words for this absolute stupidity here. So yeah, anyway, while this is rebooting for absolutely no reason, I'm gonna go into the rest of the specs. So, in terms of the display, 120 Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus certification. It boasts a almost 91% screen to body ratio with a pixel density of 239. And that puts the resolution at 1848 by 2960. So obviously it's a little bit over 1440p. So the image here will be nice and sharp. Now, in terms of the glass here that is protecting this display, and that is a corner Gorilla Glass. It doesn't really say which one, so I would assume it's Victus, but oh well. Anyway, continuing on, in terms of the internals, let's start off with the battery. So battery right here is a whopping 11,200 milliamps. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of expected a little bit bigger battery than 11,000. Though, don't get me wrong, 11,000 is stupid big. And obviously you have enough room to put such a huge battery in here, considering this device is the size of a freaking laptop. Now, this device is actually being powered by a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, so the newest processor from Snapdragon, which is Qualcomm, I think, right? So this device will basically breeze through anything that you throw at it. You can play any game that you want to on this device. You can play Genshin Impact probably maxed out, and it should have no problem with it. Though, one little caveat, it is running a higher resolution than most of displays, so that could be iffy, but I guess we will find out at one point anyway. Now, moving on, interestingly enough, set up manually, skip. Interestingly enough, apparently this device has expandable storage. If I can get, for goodness sake, come on, there we go. Skip. And I can actually skip the Wi-Fi connection. Thanks, Samsung, finally! Now, the reason I'm excited about that one is because for the most part, Samsung devices, when you go into the setup, at least phones before, would never allow you to skip connecting to Wi-Fi when it's being set up for the first time. So either this device is not being set up for the first time, and that would be very awkward considering I did literally peel it off here, or Samsung decided to kind of like get rid of this, which is if they did, obviously a good thing. Yes, skip, out on all that, no one cares. Let's go with the dark mode just to make it look a little bit more moody. And let's see if I can find where the little tray is so I can check it out. Oh, there we go, at the top. So we do have only space for SD card, which is actually really nice. On the other side, you have what would typically be a SIM tray, but it's just covered with some plastic. I presume if you even rip that out, obviously this device probably doesn't have any LTE connectivity anyway, so that would do nothing. Maybe you would have a free storage space for your SIM card. In any case, we do have expandable storage, which for Samsung, that again, props. That actually is starting to seem like a pretty interesting device. Now, once you boot it up, you have this absolute gargantuan display. Now, they did decide to make everything a little bit too big. So as you can see, for instance, all the toggles right here, these are absolutely massive. So just compare this to a finger. Usually they're just like a quarter of a size. So they did, it looks like the UI just scales to the size instead of utilizing it a little bit better, the space that you have. Now, continuing on with the device, I did mention that we have expandable storage, but I didn't mention the storage that we have right here. So, at the very like lowest end of this device that you can get, you will have 256 gigabytes of storage with a whopping 12 gigs of RAM, and this can go all the way up to 1 terabyte of storage and 16 gigs of RAM, which is again more than laptops have for majority of the people, I would argue. So this device is spec'd higher, at least at the highest end, better than laptops at the moment. So again, it's pretty nice. Now, continuing on to the not so nice, but arguably doesn't really matter section, it will be the cameras. At the front, we have a selfie, and that is a dual 12 megapixel wide and ultra wide sensor. And then close this, and then at the back, so I can find the power button, we have another dual camera setup, and the main one is a 13 megapixel wide and then 8 megapixel ultra wide. Interestingly enough, they are very close together in terms of like what the pixel count here is. So you see 13, 8, 12 and 12 on the front. Now with all of those, at least at the back and also at the front, so selfie and the main ones can shoot at 4K 60 frames if you choose to do so, and obviously 1080p as well, so yeah, no problem there. And as you can see, we not very goodly. We have this little, like a notch. It's not entire. It's not covering the entire thing. It's just kind of accommodating for the cameras. The reason I'm pointing that out is because if you've seen the new MacBooks, they do have a little bit of a bigger notch, and that is housing the cameras. Here, most of the camera is still on a bezel, but I guess they needed to cut it out just a little bit to accommodate for these dual cameras. So unfortunately, we do have this minuscule sized notch. But if you're getting annoyed by this, then there's no actual way around it, apart from maybe just setting up a black wallpaper, because if I do this, you can barely see it now from the blank background that is covering up the notch right now, right here. So, one more thing that I'll say, that I don't really have anything to showcase this with, but we do have a little pins right here at the bottom, along with these little holes. These are, if I'm correct, used for keyboard. So you can genuinely make this into a laptop, plop it onto a keyboard, and fold it up, close it. It will be part of the case, as I presume. So this device can be literally used as a laptop of sorts. And additionally, previously the old Tab Ultra had the option to be used as a secondary monitor wirelessly. So I will assume, yep, second screen, so I assume this is it. And yep, it's gonna allow me to connect to my computer and literally use this as a screen for my computer without any cables. It's pretty dope. And additionally, on top of that, you do have the option, if I can figure out, that you can launch the Samsung DeX without needing a secondary display. You can just launch it on here. This is a just 14-inch screen, so it allows you to do the desktop mode without any monitor, because it's already enough real estate for this kind of purpose. And if you never use this, obviously it just gives you the kind of like a desktop feel with windows opening up in, well, window. I can move them around, resize them, minimize them to your dock right here. So there we go. And to be completely honest, this might be actually a more usable scenario for this kind of device in this desktop mode, allowing you to multitask, take the multitasking of this device to new heights. So just whoops. As you can see, even has the window snapping, so you can drag it. Can resize these. So yeah, pretty dope. Now, let's see if I have missed anything with this device. I did go over the internal storage and all that stuff, battery. I didn't mention the charging speed. Now, normally Samsung is very garbage when it comes down to charging speeds of their devices, but this one luckily boasts a 45-watt charging speed, so you should be able to charge this gargantuan battery in a reasonable time. So again, props for Samsung for doing this. Damn, I'm actually very surprised. A lot of these things in here are pretty good. Now, last thing that I'll mention is the price. And that will be the biggest elephant in the room. This device ain't cheap. It comes at about 1,200 euros. That is expensive. Now, mind you, it's not as expensive as, for instance, the Galaxy Fold 4 or 5. So it's still cheaper than that. But still, this device is absolutely insanely expensive for a tablet. Now, I will give them credit. This device is packing some serious hardware and gives you some additional versatility that you don't have with almost, or with no other tablet that I can think of, allowing you to use this device as a secondary monitor, giving you a stupid amount of storage and a RAM. And in its right, this is basically a computer, a standalone computer that you can use wherever you go, with a really good battery and additional options like cameras and obviously the secondary screen options. So yeah, pretty sweet package. And even at this price, Even though it's outside of what I would consider to be reasonable for a tablet, I can see a lot of people finding use and wanting such a device for themselves because it offers a lot. Now, with that being said, hopefully you found this video informative. If you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.